Louisiana has become the first state to require the 10 Commandments be posted in classrooms. The bill signed into law by Republican Governor Jeff Landry requires the signs be, quote, in large, easily readable font in all public elementary and high school classrooms. By 2025, in case that wasn't enough, the posters will also include a 3-paragraph statement that will say the 10 Commandments have been a prominent part of American education. Other states, including Tennessee and Texas, have considered implementing similar laws. And as expected, the move has already sparked legal challenges. The ACLU tweeted, quote, "We're suing Louisiana for requiring all public schools to display the 10 Commandments in every classroom. Public schools are not Sunday schools." Many were outraged by the news online. Human rights lawyer Qasim Rashad tweeted, quote, "Louisiana's governor just signed a law mandating 10 Commandments be displayed at all public schools, but rejected the opportunity to ensure all children at those public schools are fed lunch." Louisiana has the second highest rate of poverty among children in the United States. What a disgrace. Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell tweeted, "Oh, come on. MAGA leaders don't even follow the 10 Commandments. The second one says you shall not make for yourself a false idol." Radio host Eric Erickson tweeted, quote, "I graduated from a Louisiana public school where most classrooms had the 10 Commandments on the wall, but when the third grade reading level is only 49%, I don't see why the state wants to spend the money on lawyers for probably an unconstitutional law, making the 10 Commandments mandatory just to virtue signal a side in a culture war. Actually use conservative reforms to fix the schools instead of putting up posters half the third grade cannot even read." But First Liberty Institute insists this is a great use of resources. In a statement, their attorney said, "Putting the historic document on schoolhouse walls is a great way to remind students of the foundations of American and Louisiana law. We applaud Louisiana for being the first, but by no means the last, state to take this bold step for religious liberty."
And we have a clip of the View ladies talking about this as well. Let's play that.
Is this theater, or does he think this is going to stand up in court?
I think he really does think it's going to stand up in court, because if you're going to follow the rule of law, then you really need to follow the U.S. Supreme Court. That's the rule of law of our land. And I would say the Supreme Court has said that the 10 Commandment displays in public schools are unconstitutional, and that happened in 1980. So we're talking about nearly identical laws, and a half a century ago they said it wasn't okay. I think what he is banking on is that this sort of reactive, very partisan Supreme Court will overturn precedent and say, now this is okay. And we should be very afraid of that, because we're now in upside down world where you have a precedent from, this century saying you cannot do that anywhere.
So, look, okay. I agree with everyone else. It's obviously unconstitutional to require the schools to display the 10 Commandments. I agree with what conservative radio host Eric Erickson said, that why do they want to spend money? It's not that it costs so much money to put up the display of the 10 Commandments, but they will spend money fighting it in court, because it will go to court. The ACLU is suing, and the Supreme Court in the past has been very clear that you can't force the schools to put up the 10 Commandments. The composition of the court has moved in a rightward direction. I still don't think you will get any different decision at the Supreme Court. We could find out. I still think there will be a majority that says requiring the 10 Commandments is not constitutional. Now, notice I said requiring. I think it's fine if they choose to put up the 10 Commandments, because they could get, now that has happened too, if like a sports team in a public school, if they pray before a game or they have some kind of prayer session, that's gotten litigated too. Sometimes secular associations will sue over that. If a classroom had put up the 10 Commandments and then the state said, no, you can't do that, then I would support a lawsuit on that basis. I think they ought to be able to put it up if they want to. The kids ought to be able to engage in prayer if they want to. It should just be voluntary, not mandatory. So the state trying to make them do it is what makes it unconstitutional.
Right. Very clearly, the freedom of religion suggests that everyone has a right to choose their own religion, and the law cannot force it upon anyone, especially children in a classroom. It's honestly ridiculous. And the way it's being widely reported as, oh, it's just the first state to do it, that there is a widespread effort here among Christian nationalists, people who want their Christianity to become a part of the law. They want essentially the religion to be forced upon children if they want this in the classroom. That's what this would do. And so I think where we get into a tricky situation, like you said, I think having the state mandate that schools do this is unconstitutional. But what happens if a conservative school board decides, you know what, we want to have this in our school district, we're going to vote on it, and we're going to make it so that teachers have to put it up? What if one of the teachers doesn't want to put it up? How would the Supreme Court rule in that case? Because I think that's what's to come next.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it will happen. Some teacher will refuse to do it.
Yeah.
The ACLU will sue on their behalf, et cetera. Look, I don't think displaying the Ten Commandments is like enshrining Christian conservative law or something. It is true that the Ten Commandments are an early form of some kind of a legal document in history, like Hammurabi's code. If they put up Hammurabi's code from a historical perspective in a world history class, it would not be uncalled for. It wouldn't be endorsing an eye for an eye. It would just be saying in the history of the development of law and legal philosophy and religious law and early civilizations, this was an important part of the founding of that. The Ten Commandments are important not just to Christianity, but also to Judaism. It's not for a specific, there's a variety of obviously Christian denominations and sects. It's not for a particular one. So I think it's fine to, in fact, it should be taught and acknowledged as an early source of legal authority, but it's not. But it is a religious symbol as well, and the state cannot compel a public institution to display a religious symbol. I don't think it should prohibit them from displaying a religious symbol that is also part of legal and world history, but requiring it is, what's the point? Now there's going to be a lawsuit, just like Eric Erickson said.
I think we're also going to see a lawsuit. I mean, the ACLU already has their eyes on this, but a teacher refusing to post the Ten Commandments in their classroom, I think that's fair grounds for a lawsuit as well. I think the more the merrier. We should really make them pay for this. And that's sad because obviously Louisiana is a state where there's a high poverty rate. You don't want public dollars going to fight this legal battle on the basis of Christian values that are not upheld in other policies. Why are we letting people live in poverty and squalor while there's a wealth concentration among the wealthiest people in Louisiana? Isn't it a Christian value to give your money to the poor and to the needy? Why are we not doing that? Why are we instead?
Why are you coveting your neighbor's house, Jessica? That's what I'm asking about here. It's on the list.
Yeah, why are we instead spending this money on this lawsuit? It's ridiculous. Yes, there's a lot of things on the list that get ignored.
Yeah, more money is not the answer to what's wrong with education, though, clearly, because we spend billions on education. Education funding over time is a chart that looks like this. Reading and math proficiency is a chart that looks like this. So we can't spend our way into greater educational outcomes. Would that we could, but
a big reason for that is we've seen the share of the education budget nearly triple the share that's going to pensions. And so while we've seen the budget grow, a lot of that money is not going to teachers, active students, and classrooms. It's kind of like a silent defunding of education. I'm not saying teachers shouldn't get pensions or a good retirement.
I'll say it. I'm perfectly willing to
but
say
it really
public employees shouldn't get pensions and retirement packages and benefits that are better than anything you could find anywhere in the public sector.
Yeah, I think in any case, parents that are paying local taxes, where the majority, 67% of the funding that goes to education is from the local budget. Parents that are paying taxes, that money should be going to the schools to ensure that their kids have a good education. I think it puts parents in a difficult decision when they're paying high taxes to send their kids to a good school, and a lot of that money is going to retired teachers, not people in the classroom. And so as the population grows and more people retired, we need to allocate even more money. And so it might seem like, oh my God, we're spending more than ever, but a huge part of that is spending for education that went to people in the past.
I did not at all think we would find a way to agree on this, but you raised a point that I do think is valid. So look at that, Jessica. All right, that does it for us today on Rising, but tomorrow you will be here with Amber Duke, and I will be back on Monday. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any of our content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, now available anywhere that you can find podcasts. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, y'all.